Alrighty. We have fed the beastie. We have gotten the refill for when I eventually finish this, even though I just keep forgetting to add all a drink. Again, too much fun chatting. I'm always too chatty for my own good. But doesn't seem like we have too many strong opinions in chat here. So maybe, just maybe. Oh, and of course, just as I say so, we do get the first chime in from Brain with Earth Elementalist. So, I don't see any, I guess if there are any who object to this choice, speak now or forever hold your peace, because it's looking like we'll jump in with our Draconian Earth Elementalist. I do really enjoy the Earth Elementalist starting handbook. LRD and Petrify give you a lot of creative solutions to early game problems. So I think this is what we'll go in with here. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, Earth Elementalists do come with the easiest naming conventions of all time if we're going by my usual standards here. Because double E pretty much works after any letters. So we could go in as the all-time classic Earth Elementalist name, which in this case would be Dree. We're used to seeing Grees around here, but Dree can also work out as well. Maybe I need something, a little bit of pizzazz on the first of his name here. Dree, hey, Dreed, Dread, call him Dread with 2 E's. Give a little indication of what's awaiting for him down in the depths. We'll go for it, not spend too much time just... Oh no, immediately as I hit enter, Psycho chimes in with the great suggestion of Dream, which would have been a much more positive spin on things. We're going with Dread instead of the dream of what could come, the dread of the past rather than the dream of the future. Shows where my head's at the moment, I guess, but maybe, if Dread can't cut it, Dream will be the one to achieve the destiny that they're so... painfully striving for here in the depths of the dungeon. But here we go, starting off the new run. So we already popped into our skill menu, set everything to manual, and here we'll probably I want to probably get rid of transmutations. It's tempting to train it up right away just to get Petrify online, but I've feeling that I'm going to be relying a little bit more on the Earth side of things throughout this run, or at least I have historically. So I think I'd like to ramp that up just a little bit at the start here, give us some staying power, as it were. We'll wait here a few turns, hope that the slug notices us, and there it finally does. Come to me, please. And there she is. I'll start with a bit of hand-to-hand against the slug, and if we take even one hit, we'll probably start sandblasting, but at the start of the run here, we have to be a little bit careful because we have no stones, or not very many stones, we should say, which did remind me that, again, I've been forgetting to get my pickup stuff, which is especially important on us because we want to make sure that we're picking up those stones. Oops. Clicking way more times than necessary on everything here. But pop on all the usual culprits, all of our favorite choices here. And then the next thing that we also have to do, as I'm just a mess of things, is we'll do a character dump. And, oops, should have closed that last character dump so I don't mix these two up. Open up this one. And the fate of Dread is determined by these numbers. I guess give me a moment. Narration is a little bit paced a little bit faster than the actual changes here. There we go, stumbling through the words as well as the actions on that one. But there we go, new seat up for this run, because this one is going to be super important to play on your own, because it's going to be the most powerful DCSS run we have ever seen. I'm sure of it. I can feel it in my bones today. We're gonna get the win. Maybe not the win today, I should say, because already throwing one run into the mix unfortunately does leave us with a bit less time to make it through this one. But I do believe that in the future, Dread will survive. We will push past the difficulties and the negative connotations of our name, and we shall prove to the world that there is only one true dragon to rule the realm of Zot. Maybe that's what my brain was going for there. But we'll pick up a dagger right off the bat here. We do really want a weapon so that we cannot fully just be forced to rely on Sandblast for every single enemy in the start here. Unless, of course, we do get lucky and find a pile of stones, and then I'm more than happy to not risk everything in each and every one of these early encounters by having to melee through any of these bad boys. But, oh, Rat did not notice me. Rat did notice me that time. Fortunately, the kobold did not, so we're able to split up all these enemies. Make sure we're not getting too overwhelmed at any single point in time here, and we'll hide around this corner, make sure we don't get too many rocks thrown at us, and it does seem like we are in the mix of things. The start of the run here, already almost made to eat my words as I start facing two monsters at the same time. Well, we're only level 2, not a solid move by any stretch of the imagination here, but managed to survive our stupid decisions, which does mean that we can look to the future instead. Those backstabs definitely do come in handy for simplifying some of these fights. Unfortunately, not quite so lucky that time around to sneak up on the not even sentient ooze. Very embarrassing that can be caught by such a stupid creature, but it is what it is, I guess. I mean, we did spend all of our days reading books of magic, so I guess probably didn't spend a lot of time making sure we were light on our feet and beneath notice. Do you spend so much of my time just like this, hoping to get noticed? Come on, Goblin, I'm right here. This did seem like a pack of goblins, so this could be a unique, maybe? Can uniques spawn on floor 1? Seems early. I feel like it's usually D2 that I see the first ones, but I don't know if that's just personal bias, real mechanic. Who knows these things? Here we go. Dree losing the fight to Aquoka and having to resort to shredding his stones into magic here, but that is alright. Oh wow, we also didn't even realize that this was identified as an amulet of faith right off the back. Right off the bat, I should say. So, I'm very curious which, if any, altars we run into at the start of our D2 here. Sure would be nice to be able to take advantage of a ridiculous amount of early piety that would come out of both a D2 deity as well as an amulet of faith to back it up. Just absurd at that point. But let's make sure we're backing away from this wormy boy, not getting ourselves into any kind of trouble, and we shall keep it moving, trying our best to catch up to our forefathers here. Hoping that the switch from conjurations to one of the more traditional elemental schools of magic might be the push that we've needed all along to make our way through here. And wow, a bunch of these big old wormy boys, hey? Guess we might as well try and slash a bit. We can always just run away if things go poorly, so there is that. Did end up having to use a couple of rocks, unfortunately, but it is what it is. That is just how the cookie crumbles, and I guess we're just gonna leave that adder forever. So we got stopped there as an adder quickly popped in and out of view. No idea where we're leaving it. Probably somewhere dangerous that's gonna get me killed. Oh my gosh, none of these are the same adder even, because all these buddies were asleep. Oh me, oh my. I guess we'll have to hunt that buddy down before we get too far along here. I can probably take a Quokka now, right? I've improved. Heck yeah, I have. Perfect, so we'll do that. Keep slashing and dashing our merry old way. And I guess here we may as well stand on the stairs. Just take these fights. We're up to 59 stones, so that's a wee bit better. That's not too bad. Can definitely start resorting to launching off Sandblast a little bit more often. And then at this stage, I think I'm more than happy to try out this embroidered cloak. Because by all rights, it should be good. And if not, we can always start just re-IDing left and right here. That's very good. And okie dokie. Getting a nice solid extra 2 AC at the start of our run here should go a long way. Something like that may have even saved our life on the last run, despite my stupidity, because AC does go a long way towards all of those, or towards defending, rather, against all of those monsters that deal multiple hits over the course of a turn. Specifically, if you get something like statue form, Hydras become way more approachable of an enemy to fight. Even as a mage, you can usually go pretty toe-to-toe with them in that kind of case. But alright, we get our first altars here on D3. Unfortunately, one of them is Trog, so I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not quite looking to abandon my spellcasting roots here. The only thing that we have any real training and experience in so far. Okawaru, while still being more traditionally a fighting god here, could be an option. You can use stuff like Finesse to give yourself a little bit more defensive capability. I think that's Finesse. Am I mixing that up with Heroism? I don't know, one of the abilities we can use to get a few more skills that we don't want to have to spend too much experience in. All of the defensive ones, even our weapon skill on top of that. So it could be something, but there's not a huge advantage to the Amulet of Faith. I mean, it does mean that we could get that effect more often. I guess the other side of it, or the other ability that Okwar does provide us with, is the ability to attack twice per turn. I forget what the exact strictures and rules are on that system. I know that it somehow allows you to attack twice as often. I think it just operates on attacks, though, weapon attacks. If it works on spells, it becomes slightly more tempting, but still not quite worthy, because usually the trade-off for spells is that it's going to do, you know, enough damage to make it through the fight, and your issue is more so making sure you don't run out of mana, which, I mean, if you're casting twice as often, it does mean that you're going to be running out of twice as much mana, or running out of mana twice as fast, rather. So there's that to keep in mind. Still totally worth it, of course, in most situations, but could be scary. And more importantly, I feel like I want to hold out just a little bit, see who else we can run into. Either as an early altar here, or maybe we'll have to wait until we see the economical temple. There we go. Economical, something like that. It's weird what words my brain decides to have issues with depending on the day, because most of the time totally fine saying that word, but today absolutely nothing. Oh gosh, Grinder is absolutely wrecking us. We are super early in the run here. We do even have a name queued up for the successor to this role, but I believe in Dread the Digger, Draconian of Doom, and I think that we'll make this role here. And no way do we get paralyzed again and then murdered brutally. Nah, that ain't me. And we did. We killed Grinder with the one fell swoop. I look at it like this. If you were going to run out of mana before they all die, you were going to run out either way. But if you're attacking twice per turn, you will take less damage by the time you run out. Definitely So, and see, that's why it's still pretty solid to take Okwar, but the secret hidden cost there is that you are giving up another deity's abilities. So is there someone like Vehumet where we could get an extra range? And so we're getting an extra free spell that potentially even keeps us a further step from danger and stuff like that. Like it's a tough calculus for sure. And part of it does come into play where I know for a fact, or no, I don't know for a fact, but let's just say I'm highly likely, very much inclined to end up taking Okawaru if we, or when we get to Null. Because that's where Okawaru gets to shine in a very fun, kind of unique way that I really enjoy. Not to say that we can't take them before then, obviously. Can take the same deities multiple times, and gifts can always come in handy, don't get me wrong. But I think we will hold off for the time being. And yeah, Psycho says TSO is my favorite. I should get more experience with TSO, especially since if I wanted to do more extended game stuff, I would definitely need to get a little more comfortable, because I do hear much tell about how easy it is relative to some of the other deity choices, to especially going through Tomb, I guess, the Hells in Tomb. So TSO could be on the list. I guess less effective in a 3-rune game to a certain degree. Still one of the stronger deities from how I understand things, at the very least. So we will see who we run into over the next little while. I really have no idea who I feel like going with. I kind of want to give Sif Muna another opportunity here, but part of that is because I'm so attracted to the idea of getting to try Absolute Zero just once. And in a 3-rune game, Divine Exegesis definitely makes that a lot more likely to be achievable. Especially when it's one of the schools that's outside of our starting branch here. Not to say that we couldn't end up just completely in that camp, of course, but let's hop here and see. Coming around. Centaur buddy. Oh gosh, I don't like that you're retreating. Actually, kind of worked out. I'll take that. Oh, and as I talk about the fact that we might not end up going into ice, would you look at that, we, for the second time in, I guess only 3 of our runs have made it to level 7, so that for the second time in 3 runs, we find ourselves as a cold Draconian once more here. And let's actually see what type of staff we got. Holy cow. So not thematic to the color we gained, but we do find ourselves with a Staff of Earth, which is extremely appropriate to what we find ourselves doing at the moment. So I will definitely take that. In fact, it does remind me that I've been a little lackluster in my spell development here. I've gotten a little bit too used to my process as a conjurer, where I'm not usually able to cast until this point my level 4 spells, or I guess any of the spells beyond level 2. As an Earth Mage, though, what else would we want right away? LRD is amazing in a lot of very fun, cool circumstances. And it is pure Earth, so that will probably be the next on our list here. I guess we could learn the whole shebang, get Petrify as well. Passball is tempting because it's at least castable and could be used to escape, for sure, don't get me wrong. But I do find myself more often than not leaning offensively, which may be why I'm having so much trouble keeping my buddies alive lately. But it is just the way of my brain here. Draco the Third died, F's in chat. I don't even want to talk about how embarrassing the death was as well. Very much avoidable, inventory full of consumables, enough money for 4 potion petitions. You hate to see it. Just caught in a between a rock and a hard place in the form of a hydra and a spiny toad, and I was not proactive, and instead just far too reactive. And Draco the Third has passed on from this mortal coil, unfortunately. And so, we've actually moved on from the Conjuration School of Magic, and we decided to mix it up a little bit into the elements. Starting with Dread here, our Earth Elementalist, who will, hopefully, also be the last Draconian to be on the list here. But who knows what lies in store for us in the future here. For now, we shall just continue our merry way. Do you still need ammo for Sand Shot and Iron Shot? I don't believe Iron Shot requires any ammo, but Sandblast does indeed require stones. So we've been kind of hovering at this 44 stone mark. I'm tempted to stone arrow this buddy just to, you know, have a bit more oomph in my hits here. Maybe we'll try a few. If we miscast that 10%, we can always hold off from continuing. Otherwise, that actually went pretty well. I hate how close this fight is because it makes me want to stay here. When I should potentially... Oh, I should have switched to my Staff of Earth before casting anything. That's what I should have done. But I guess what I was saying is that I should run upstairs and heal up and not worry about fighting this phantom right now. But you know what? We're early. We're feeling good. Let us breathe frost. There we go. Oh wait, no, he's probably highly resistant to cold, right? Very resistant to cold. So silly. But that's fine. I'm willing to take this one. Our Sandblasts, never mind, our dagger will end the day for us. Wrenching the, I don't know, ethereal form out of the wisp there. Some weapons I can kind of see in my head how they could take care of an ethereal being, but a tiny little dagger feels like it'd be kind of tough to make a dent there, you know? But okie dokie, that is a lot of baddies, including one orc priest who fortunately didn't see us, so we will drag whoever did see us back to the stairs here and try and simplify the calculus what little we can. I am also... My eyeball is on those altars there, thinking about what we want to do with that, because could definitely take a deity here, and specifically out of the three above, it's Hep. Crap, is that Kiku? No, Kiku's the skulls. Who's the other dark god who I always forget? Right, Redelemnal. Eredelemnal? Never said that one out loud. Even the shortened abbreviation for this name, which is Ered or Red. No idea even how to pronounce that. Huh. But probably not too interested in the dark arts today. Dithmenos has kind of some fun, interesting synergies with spellcasters, because the Shadow God here does have an ability that doubles your outputs. It's kind of, I think, traditionally meant to be with like a hunter of some kind, where you're using a bow or a crossbow, something to that extent, maybe even throwing darts. But it does work with a lot of basic level spells, which is really cool. You can start to double up, or have a chance to double up on some of those. Have your shadow, I think, performing them. But where my eye was most drawn is to Hepliacliquana here. Haven't tried them out very much on my own in the past. The only time, actually, I think that I have was my very first streaming of DCSS, which I think we were on a Minotaur. We ended up with Hep on D2, so maybe could give a little bit of a callback there. Maybe give Hep a bit more of a chance here to show off what kind of potential they have. And in fact, even though we might find the temple on this floor, I think I will. So to break it down, while it's all in front of us here, we will lose some of our health, but in exchange we gain an ancestral buddy. Starts off as an or like an ephemeral form, not much to say, can still deal damage, usually dies quite a bit, but as soon as we can get to this stage of remembering our ancestors' identity, that's when things get pretty incredible for us, because we get to choose a class for our ghost and start to build them up to either be a tank, most likely, to take over hits for us, especially if we find the usual artifact trident. We can just poke around past our buddy and that'll be awesome. But the other one is also, or actually, they're all kind of good, because there's a battle mage that kind of does blasting casting, as well as being alright with the sword, and the hex buddy as well that will help us out with some debuffs and whatnot. In fact, yeah, Safid said, I mean, the hex ancestor is pretty brutal. Good to know. Maybe we'll have to try that out this time around. And okay, but we have to name him Draco. That's actually a great point. I almost never want to adjust the names that are given to us here, but I think this one time we're gonna have to bend the rules a little bit, because it is just too fitting for us to remember our ancestors' identity. And of course, the ghosts of our forefathers, the previous delvers into the dungeon, the ones who are here to guide us on our own perilous journey into the depths. Draco will help us out. Draco, male, female, or neither. How does gender work for Draconians, I wonder? They seem like a species that could be any kind of mix of hermaphroditic, even changing sexes. They could even be like asexual for all we know. Dragons are mythical beasts. I guess traditionally they seem to lay eggs, which doesn't actually solve anything. Could be any kind of development. But I guess we won't talk or get too sidetracked into the sexual education of dragons. But for Draco here, we'll actually, look man, if we don't have a non-binary version of ourselves from 5 minutes ago, I don't know why we're even playing. You know what? I like the thought there. So Draco was always neither, we're pretty sure. I do usually end up being fairly, even if not necessarily fully non-binary on my video game characters, at least not very committed to any gender. Oh geez, Ice Beast is very scary. Right as I was trying to make a fun commentary, we of course start getting absolutely destroyed by a big ol' Ice Beast, which we should have been using spells on most likely, especially before they were able to approach us. But Draco getting in a solid hit there, potentially come to our rescue. Solid in our, or really fire in your allies' direction. I'm so sorry if this kills you, Draco, but it won't, right? Maybe we'll cancel and double check. What's your max damage? 20. Oh, we're potentially gonna die. Okay, I changed my mind. And instead, we're going this way. Much better. And you know what? This is actually so much better having Draco between us and the enemy, because Draco, you can do it. Go, go. Oh no, Draco, you'll... Oh no. Draco, you okay? And the ghost has disappeared, but fortunately, they will be back. And look, if you kill Draco the third, it'll only be for the second time today. Oh, wouldn't that be just the worst of fates, to forever be doomed to eternally die by my hand. I can't imagine a fate worse than that. But oh, okay, we're running into the Lemurs, the followers of Pickle here. Pickle just with a +1 whip of freezing, which is not too shabby. The unfortunate part of this whole dealio is that I don't like killing the poor lemurs. I mean, they did at least get changed into being summoned beings rather than real buddies. An accursed soul magically bound to hellish servitude for the highest bidder. Oh yeah, no, if it's master slain, it does get freed and departs with gratitude. We need to let them die with dignity, depart this realm in peace. So how can I kill Pickle first? That's what we have to ask ourselves, the important questions. I think the answer is to run away to start off here. I should make sure a little more closely, that I'm not walking into unexplored territory. But what I wanted to do was just head upstairs and try and get to the other downstairs that we just caught them at. See if this is it. I guess we don't have to see. We can just pop down. Perfect. Because maybe, just maybe, Pickle is still holding up the caboose here. And we can start the fight from the other direction. Pickle. Crap. Found the lemurs, but not Pickle. Dang it, why is he so far back again? I don't want to fight you. And okay. Crap. Drank a haste potion, which did identify our haste potions, at the very least, so there is that. But we need to kill you, and quickly, my friend. So, I think it's going to be stone arrows, which we immediately miscast. 8% isn't great odds, but I thought it was better than that. We're also just about to get surrounded, so let's stop being so stupid just for the meme of it all here. And back away from the fight, not allow us to get completely surrounded from every angle and opportunity. And it all kind of worked out because Pickle has pushed his way past his buddies. And now I think it's time for us to pick a pack of pickled peppers. That was a pretty solid hit. 1 blast of the disintegration wand, 2 blasts. Maybe I will switch up to some sand blasts. And there we go, we destroy Pickle with the spell broke, and his former minions thank us for their freedom. And so not only do we have our own spirit at our side, we now have the gratitude of a few other souls. And in fact, with that kind of framing, there was no other way we could have gone about that fight, because to allow soils to torment, or to live in eternal torment under servitude, how could we live with that? Having a soul by our own side. But an early potion shop is pretty solid for us here. It allows us to get a bunch of free identification. So I snap grab anything that's cheap, and maybe even those health potions. I guess that would be all of our money, right? If we spend all that, I don't know, we still have 30 gold if I buy these health potions, but I'm gonna do it anyway. 2 heal wounds added to the inventory here, which is an amazing get this early in the game, not just for identifying the potion, but also just for the numbers themselves. So I'll gladly take that. Also meant to sandblast the other buddy. Whoops. But all is well that ends well, and we shall continue on our way. There did end up being the academical temple on this floor, but I think I am more than happy with our decisions here. Draco by our side, anything is possible. I believe so. Ooh. Perfect timing for me to get cocky about things as we run into the first unique of our trip here. I'm gonna take, one more step forward, I guess, just to get in range. I was originally going to just sand arrow, but I guess you're up and at him now. Let's just get blasting, shall we? Sandblasts shouldn't fail. We are using up a bunch of stones, and they're all dealing no damage, so maybe that was a bit of a waste, and we should have gone to stone arrow a little earlier. Whoopsie daisies, but it's a rough fight on our end so far, not dealing a whole lot of damage, but honestly not taking too much damage ourselves yet either. Subject to change at any point, of course. There we go, we can fire this way and immediately miss. Gosh darn it. I want to stand there and get a few hits in just to let our ally also do the same, see if they can do any damage, but I feel like Edmund's AC is a little too high for our ghost buddy to deal with. This may be a situation that we just have to walk away from and continue at a later date. Let's see here. We have poison darts. We have disintegration. Yeah, it does bypass armor. Says right in the description at the bottom there. Let's do one. Maybe soften our buddy up a wee bit here. And then try out our frost breath, see if that does any damage to an armored foe. Seems to do a decent little chunk of change. And our final moves here will involve either poison darts or maybe stone arrows, but I'm a little concerned for those odds. But there we go. Got the poison effect on our buddy. Oh, he's also decided to fight our ghost. Okay, there he is. Hello, Edmund. Does give us a little bit more leeway in terms of the room between us and him, so I will not complain whatsoever on that front. But, jeez, this is turning into a weirdly extended duel that should have been over right away. Let's do a few more poison darts. Ouch, not as many of those are hitting as I would like. Also getting hit ourselves for quite a bit more than I would like. We also have to be careful here, because there's an annoying thing that can happen. In fact, we should hit Control A and turn off auto pickup. Because, yeah, if you've never found yourself in this experience before, it can be quite painful to lose a character this way. But we should be safe here. But if Edmund was around the corner and we took a step down this way, we could find ourselves in a situation where he loses on random energy, stays here. We are out of sight of enemies, so we auto pick up the dart, and as we pick up, he pops the corner and hits us and we die. I've definitely had that happen to me in the past, and so being cognizant of it as at least a possibility is kind of nice here. But okay, this is going to be it. This is where we fight to the death. Let our spirit buddy distract him. Let's do this, you and I. Let's dance. Edmund. This is not the way I should have done this. But I believe. Stone arrow. Stone arrow. And we did it just as his rampaging charge came closer and closer to approaching. And fortunately, Draco does continue returning to us. Otherwise, it would be much more unfortunate how all these fights have been going. We should also remember to turn our auto pickup back on. That seems important. But that is D5. A little more clunky and awkward than I might have otherwise expected. But we are alive still, and that's always something. Draco's got your back. I think it will be the difference maker here. Maybe what we've been missing out on for the previous 3 entries into the Draconian attempt here. But okay, we'll definitely back up. I guess letting our spirit buddy die again. I am going to try an LRD, so we might actually be the ones who murder our own ancestor, but I think they'll forgive us. They will come back to pieces eventually. I'm sorry, Draco, but I do want to see how much damage this does, especially to the Ice Beast, which definitely proved to be quite a solid hit there. We were not even using the Staff of Earth, which we definitely should have been. But who cares? We managed to survive at the very least, and Draco will return to our side. I am so sorry, buddy. It had to be done. As Zafid has let us know, you have our back, and don't worry, we won't forget it. We'll just take ruthless advantage of it at any free opportunity we can. But LRD will be a lifesaver, especially against the early scary monsters here. Both that centaur and this warrior freak me out a wee bit. But that should do a decent chunk of and with that little bit of damage, it gives us the leeway for the rest of the fight. I hope. Maybe I'm still speaking too highly of our skills here. Let's try it out here. We've got him down to half health, so I was hoping just 2 more stone arrows would do it. Not quite. So we shall back our way on back over this way for a wee bit. There we go. Another stone arrow comes online. Spirit comes back online as well. Draco immediately destroyed. Jeez Louise, let's not get hit by that mace ourselves, I guess. But with the extra ground, perfect. Sacrifices were made, and not in vain, not whatsoever. We managed to get through a pretty tough fight there. And I think it's time that I zoomed out, took another little bit of a look at the bigger picture here. Because it's tempting to get conjurations up a bit for Stone Arrow, Transmutation would get us Petrify a bit sooner. Petrify LRD is a really solid thing throughout all of Lair. Like, that's a almost guaranteed Hydra kill right there, which could come in handy. But we might be able to get away with just training Earth Magic in that department. That will at least keep our LRD smashingly strong. And we can instead maybe throw a little bit of a focus into some of our defensive skills. Maybe find a pretty solid weapon right away. That would be nice. For the time being, Conjurations will get just a few levels here, as briefly mentioned. And we'll see how all of that shakes out. Also, I need to stop using Sandblast on basic enemies here, as unfortunately we are running out of stones. But, ooh, Draco has remembered more of their old skills, so we are slowly getting a more powerful ally here, more powerful buddy at our back. We'll switch out our dagger for a +1 electric dagger. Those will still come in handy for if we find ourselves in a good stabbing opportunity. But okie dokie, we've switched out our basic attack for stone arrow here just to save ourselves on those stone costs, as mentioned earlier. Does look like Draco has gone quite a bit stronger with that last message, seeing as they were able to take that fight essentially on their own. We just chipping in some damage from beyond. Oh gosh. And I should definitely be taking this fight a little more cleanly here. There we go. Isolate from the priest, and now the priest is there. Perfect. All these orcs, not so much of a problem as long as we don't get hit by all three at once. I think we should be fine and dandy. Make it on through. I wish we could wear armor, because poison resistance could be kind of nice to have this early on in the run. But alas, alack, our dragon heritage is what it is. And ooh, one of my favorite themes of store, where it's all used armor and goods here. A little bit cheaper than you otherwise might expect. And can oftentimes actually be surprisingly worth it. If we were playing, I guess, A, somebody that could wear armor, and B, somebody who is a little more brute force, a -1 gold dragon scales would be killer for 900 gold. Happily take that deal. But unfortunately for Dread today, I don't think it's looking to be in the cards quite so much. I also keep going back to using Sandblast, kind of forgetting the need to save our stones, potentially hold on to them. Even though I don't really know what we're holding on to them for, seeing as we eventually hit a stage in the game where we will no longer be using Sandblast at all. So we do technically just need enough to hold us over until then. I just hate the very concept of running out of the ammunition for the most basic ability of ours. But what are our miscasts at? 4% for Lee's? I think to me that does mean gonna get a wee bit explosive up in here. Perfect. Dealt a nice chunk of change to everyone involved here. Can I fire through my buddy? No, I cannot. Good to know. Even though I feel like that might have been something that was changed. Are you able to fire through your spirit now? Or am I mixing up some changelog stuff with another change the devs made? Definitely don't pretend to hold very much knowledge myself. But, okay, let's get that petrify off on the ogre. Lovely. Make sure you keep attacking that. In fact, I should walk past you. In what is a little bit of a risky move, because if the ogre woke up, that might have been a nasty situation to find ourselves in, but of course we knew that would not be the case, and we were confident in our decision making there, and we were rewarded for it as well. But onwards and upwards we go here. There's a Vehement's Shrine, definitely something that I was actively debating as one of our options for this very run, but we are fine and happy with the the one true Lord and Savior, Hepliaquana here. We believe in the power of the spirit. Oh my gosh, look at you go, Draco. So we just sat there. I don't even think we were confused for the last half of that encounter. I just wanted to let Draco keep showing off over here as he single-handedly, or they single-handedly took out that entire batch of enemies. I really shouldn't be misgendering the entity that I got to choose the gender of. Whoops. But regardless, Draco is the real MVP. That is the important thing to note here. Let's go for some LRDs. That seems to be a pretty solid amount of damage. Unfortunately, I'm trying my best not to hit Draco with them, but I don't think it's always gonna be an option, so maybe we'll start exploding. And there we go. Little bit of a tag team. And my rock blast has completely shredded and destroyed the enemy. Which you love to see. We are, of course, making quite the racket in our journey here, but that is all fine and to be expected. As long as we're able to fight off anything that comes our way, I don't see the problem with it. Jeez, I don't know why that orc didn't come and investigate the noise, especially since their own friends seem to come around the corner, but I'll take it. And this time we'll LRD right on the ice beast. Make sure we get some collateral damage there as well. Not too shabby. And hide around the corner like we do. Wait till the centaur approaches, and a single stone arrow will take him out. Not too bad. Do you know what? Yeah, Draco, if you could please back up just a wee bit. Thank you kindly. Make sure we're not giving these enemies too many free hits on us, if we could. And yeah, Sandblast will do it. We're back up to a plethora of stones. An excess, even. There we are. Almost through D7. We're on the way to catching up to Draco the Third. Just need to find our lair entrance here. Delve a few floors down into those depths. I guess, wow, we've gone this far already, I should say, without having done any of my item investigation. So, it's about time that we did a little bit of that. I guess we did get all these potions identified thanks to that early shop, as well as I think our haste got identified by an enemy chugging the potion, so there is that, I guess. But we have all these scrolls, so let's get to it. 6 scrolls that do end up being identified. Lovely. Let's use these bad boys to try and to start out. Let's get curing. And would you look at that? We immediately got curing in the first 3 stack we identify here today. I'm even going to inscribe these with that R1, make my job a little bit easier. Let's do another 3 stack of potions. We get potions of magics. That's another huge lifesaver on a spellcaster here. Definitely no complaints from me. And now we'll move on to the scroll department a wee bit. Starting with the middle numbered stacks here, the 2s and the 3s as it were. Because I think I will just happily read ID some of the higher level things. Also, I'm a complete idiot. I put on this plain cloak because I didn't see that I was wearing a scarf, which is of repulsion, which is pretty solid. And we already had a +2 cloak before that. I was mixing up my runs where I thought Draco the Third got the sweet cloak and not us. I called myself, my own memory, into question and discounted my entire opinion. Shouldn't do that, brain. Embarrass ourselves, but so maybe it's a bad habit, but I ID by blindly reading scrolls on a safe level rather than using ID scrolls. I think that that's a pretty split opinion in the DCSS community, because I feel like a lot of people do really enjoy just immediately having those available. It saves you those annoying situations where you die and you had 3 blinking scrolls in your inventory. It's like, well, I could have wasted one of those and survived. That's obviously, in this game, I guess, anything that allows you to survive even for just a little bit longer, is worth paying any price, right? So I can definitely respect and understand that coming from that side of things. I'm just such a stingy person that I like to have my stash of options stored up here, so I get so up in arms, or not up in arms really, because I'm not the type to do so, but I guess I just firmly want to oh my gosh, and immediately it blanked out as I realized I was hitting enemies with my staff. Whoops. But I guess the important thing is, whatever I was saying, I generally tend to stay away from read ID and scrolls, but I don't really have a problem with it either, and I don't think it's that detrimental to your overall progress, or it may even just be positive, or a positive influence overall, really. I like that there are some things in this game that are contentious like that. I guess it makes sense, seeing as how that is a fairly large part of the design mentality for the game, to, you know, get rid of the no-brainers, as it were. Or I think that's the buzzword that everyone uses, right? But it does make it more interesting to have people have these different opinions and to have them both kind of work just fine. Not to say that that's an easy job. Balancing is an absolute nightmare, I am sure. That's the thing. I have had urges in the past to try creating my own video games. I've enjoyed coding in the past, and so I really want to even just fool around on something like Unity for a bit, see if I can sink my teeth into it whatsoever. But I know that the back end things like balance are what I would be bad at continuing through with, because I so often just like the idea phase. It's definitely the most fun phase of planning by a long stretch, just because you don't have to worry about doing any work or any of that stuff. Okay, and our buddy's still remembering their old skill. In fact, I may have missed something. Let us make sure I haven't missed out. Perfect. Okay, not yet. Pretty soon here, I think we're going to hit the PD level where we can give some more, what's the word I'm looking for? Characterization to Draco's ghost here. Give them their background, their class, as it were. Alrighty. Remind myself to take drinks here, because I can feel my mouth slowly becoming just an arid wasteland. So. Especially since I got a refill for my drink like an hour ago, thinking that I would chug the rest of that glass down and be ready for it to top up, but now my drink has just been getting warm for absolutely no reason. But it's too late now, because now we are at the stage where I'm just about done. In fact, let's crack a can here, get hopefully a nice satisfying crack there. Pour that bad boy. Now that it's both cold and fresh, maybe, just maybe, I'll remember slightly more that I have a drink here. And onwards we go.